Welcome to the Getting Started in Dramatica Pro walkthrough video. This video shows you how to create a new story from scratch using Dramatica's built-in StoryGuide. The tutorial is broken into several parts roughly corresponding to the major sections of the StoryGuide. This is Part 3, Illustrating, Writing the Story. We pick up in the StoryGuide where we left off in Part 2. In the Introduction to Illustrating, the note says that it's important to get down to a single story form before illustrating your choices. This is true only in the StoryGuide. Other topic lists in the query system and other features in Dramatica Pro allow you to illustrate an item before you've identified your story form. We're down to one story form, so press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. The first area we'll illustrate is that of the main character. It's time for us to give specific examples of Little Red's personal journey through the story, in her own throughline. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. The main character's throughline recap. Here's what you previously wrote as examples of Red's nature growing from a situation or environment. We're asked to revise or expand these examples now. I don't see any need to revise these now. So, press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Main character's concern. Give examples of how Little Red is personally interested in or worried about the future. Little Red can't wait to be more grown up. She's worried that she'll be little and underdeveloped all her life, even when she gets older. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. The main character's problem. Give examples that show how logic causes problems and drives Little Red. Let's see what we can come up with. Little Red considers riding her little girl bike to Granny's, but chooses her larger bicycle because it has a basket to carry Granny's goodies. She's barely tall enough to ride the bike, which causes her to crash at inconvenient times and places. Little Red is supposed to go directly to Granny's house, but decides it makes more sense to take the shortcut suggested by Harry. This shortcut causes a lot of trouble for her. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. The main character's approach. Give examples that show how Little Red usually approaches problems as a doer. When her mother tells her she can't go outside and play with the boys, Little Red slams her door and pounds on her toy rabbit baby doll. When Little Red is accosted by Harry Wolf, she beans him with a rock to get him to leave her alone. I'm sure we can come up with plenty more, but that's a start. You can see that the story is beginning to fill out as we're asked to come up with illustrations for these various story points. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. The main character's problem-solving style. Give examples of how Little Red prefers to use logical problem-solving techniques. Little Red maps out the most direct way to Granny Moocher's house using Google Maps. She figures out Harry is in league with Deadeye against his will when she sees the trail of evidence Harry has left for her to find. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. The main character's resolve. Give examples that show how change describes Little Red's basic nature after experiencing this story. At the beginning of the story, Little Red is hung up on her age and size. She grows to realize that she is not limited by her size, but by how she feels. With the right attitude and trust in her feelings, her size and age really don't matter. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. The main character's judgment. Give examples of how the story's ending is seen to be good for Little Red in terms of resolving her personal problems. At the end of the story, Little Red is completely okay with where she is in life. She's no longer in a hurry to be an adult or grow up. This is easy to say, but I'll have to make sure she grows enough to warrant this change. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Main character description recap. Revise your descriptions of Little Red to reflect her duties as the main character. No changes necessary. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Main character activities recap. Your main character represents the audience's position in your story. Revise your previous description of the character's activities to better reflect that role. I'm not in love with her bird watching and collecting now that the story has taken a different turn. Let's change that to she plays with her stuffed rabbit baby doll and likes skipping stones. I think I can do more with that, especially since we've already described her beat-up baby doll and beating Harry with a rock in our earlier description of her as a doer. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Story status. We've completed Section 3, Main Character Illustrating. Now, on to Section 4, Overall Story Illustrating. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. The overall story throughline takes a bird's-eye view on the main plot of your story, keeping in mind the big picture of the overall story characters and their attempts to achieve or defeat the story goal. This includes the main and impact characters, who in this throughline, like all the other characters, are only concerned with the pursuit of the goal. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Overall story backstory. Give examples of the events or conditions that led up to the conflict involving all the characters in the overall story in Little Red. I'm not real sure what the overall story is about yet, so let's skip this topic for the moment. We can come back to it a bit later. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Overall story throughline recap. Here's what you previously wrote as examples of the overall story revolving around an activity or endeavor. If necessary, revise or expand these examples now. Now, let's leave this as it is for now and keep going. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Overall story goal. Here's what you previously wrote to describe the goal in Little Red. Now revise or expand this to give examples of how all the characters try to reach the same specific goal relating to obtaining. There's an escaped murderer on the loose and everyone wants him captured before he kills again. No changes, leave it. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Overall story driver. Give examples of how decision propels the story forward. The decision to let Deadeye Dan join a work detail outside the prison lets him escape. Deadeye's decision to give himself up at the end brings the manhunt to an end. Little Red's decision to take the shortcut to Granny's place lets the Deadeye gang find a hideout from the police. I like those examples. What's next? Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Overall story limit. Give examples that show how Little Red is brought to a climax and conclusion by an option lock. Okay, so there's got to be a limited number of somethings that show our progress through Little Red, and when we're down to the last something, everything comes to a head. Oh, I just got an idea. But first, let's go back to the overall story backstory. Use the mouse and click on OS Backstory in the Topics list. Before he was imprisoned, Deadeye used a bicycle shop as a front for his real business, the distribution of stolen goods. Before his capture, he hid priceless jewels inside the handlebars of 5 of the bicycles, including the priceless Carat Diamond, so named for its unusual orange color. After sentencing, the contents of his bicycle store were sold off to kids in the neighborhood unaware of the hidden fortunes. Now I've got some things Deadeye wants to recover. Use the mouse to go back to OS Limit. One by one, Deadeye recovers the special bicycles. The story comes to a climax when he finally gets hold of Little Red's bicycle. That works for me. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Overall story outcome. Give examples of how the goal related to obtaining results in success in your story. Deadeye is recaptured. The stolen jewels are recovered. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Plot synopsis recap. Based on the additional story development you have done, expand what you have written to describe what happens in your story in greater detail. Well, we skipped this the first time around, so now let's pop in a few ideas based on our bicycles and diamonds scenario. Deadeye escapes from prison, intent on recovering some stolen diamonds he had hidden before he was imprisoned. Little Red leaves home on her bike with a basket of goodies for Granny Moocher. Deadeye surprises his brother Harry by breaking into his trailer at the local carnival. Deadeye forces Harry to help him recover the bicycles. Harry runs into Little Red after stealing the first bicycle. Harry recognizes her bike but cannot carry two at a time, so he manages to lure Little Red from her direct route by giving her free tickets to some carnival rides. At the carnival, Deadeye misses his opportunity to steal Little Red's bicycle while Harry distracts Little Red. Harry decides to let Little Red get away against his brother's wishes. Deadeye forces Harry to take him to Granny Moocher's, where Deadeye overpowers Granny and has Harry tie her up and dump her in the basement. Deadeye then has Harry dress up like Granny to distract Red while Deadeye steals the last bicycle. There's a big fight, and Buck comes in to save the day. I've got plenty more ideas, but we're supposed to keep this limited. So, let's go on. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. So far, we've completed sections 1 through 4. Now proceed to section 5, Main versus Impact Story Illustrating. There's a reminder to save our work. Press Ctrl-S or Command-S to save. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Main versus Impact Throughline Illustrating. The Main versus Impact Throughline contains the emotional perspective of your story, focusing on the passionate relationship between the main and impact characters. Story points in this throughline represent the goals, events, and activities of concern to both your main and impact characters. Examples that you write here should reflect the disharmony or conflict generated by the impact character as he attempts to influence the main character to change her basic nature. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Main versus Impact Backstory. Give examples that show how Little Red and Harry Wolf developed the existing problems they have with each other in Little Red. Nothing comes to mind, so let's skip this. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Main versus Impact Throughline. Give examples of how the passionate struggle between Little Red and Harry Wolf involves a manner of thinking or demeanor. No need to revise this. I think it still works. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Main versus Impact Concern. Give examples that show how Little Red and Harry Wolf come into conflict over changing one's nature. Although the two are strangers when they meet, one a carny hack and the other a pushy little girl, they quickly develop a bond where each works to change the other. They are a real odd couple. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Main versus Impact Thematic Issue. Give examples that show how the main character and the impact character struggle with the thematic issue of rationalization. Both Little Red and Harry are lousy at making excuses for their behavior, and each knows it. Though defensive of their own excuses, they readily point out the flaws in the excuses of the other. The other part of this window asks, how do you want the audience to feel about rationalization? There's a scale from good to bad. It is currently set to neutral. I think the audience will see rationalizations as somewhat bad, so I'll set it to between bad and neutral, a little closer to neutral than bad. Setting this scale is just a reminder to consider the emotional impact of this thematic issue, nothing more. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Wow! We've completed another section. The next section is Section 6, Impact Character Illustrating. Save your work, then press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Impact Character Illustrating. Your impact character is your second most important character because he represents the force that brings your main character to the point of change. As a result, he needs more development than your other characters. The following screens give you the opportunity to illustrate choices you've already made for this character's personal issues, develop other story points provided by the story engine, and illuminate the impact character's backstory. Show how he became the person most philosophically opposed to the main character and also most able to sway her. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. The impact character's through-line recap. Give examples that show how the nature of Harry Wolf pertains to a fixed attitude or outlook. Looks fine. Next. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. The impact character's concern. Give examples of how Harry Wolf's influence is concerned with innermost desires. Harry has big dreams and is a no-fear kind of guy. He'd be a perfect candidate for Fear Factor, and he thinks most of the contestants are wimps. He challenges Little Red to put aside her fears by riding on the Mega Twister Whirlathon ride at the carnival. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. The Impact Character Resolve. Give examples that show how Steadfast describes Harry Wolf's basic nature after experiencing this story. Harry is a believer in mind over matter. Even when his brother threatens to kill him in front of Little Red at the end, he stays his ground and doesn't give in. Here's a little Dramatica tidbit. In stories where the main character changes, the impact character remains steadfast. When the main character remains steadfast, the impact character changes. It's a good thing to keep in mind when you're having story problems. Moving on, press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Impact Character Description Recap. Revise your description of Harry Wolf to reflect his duties as the impact character. Harry is a shifty character. He's in his 20s, unshaven and good-looking in a bad boy way. I like that part as is. He's out on parole for a botched breaking and entering. I don't like that part. It no longer works where I'm going. Let's change it. He works as a carny hack for a traveling carnival but has bigger plans in mind. That's better. He also likes wearing women's clothing. I'll keep that last part too, since it comes into play in Granny's house near the end of the story. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Impact Character Activities Recap. Your impact character represents a different perspective on the main character's beliefs or feelings in regard to an issue of personal importance. Revise your previous description on the impact character's activities to better reflect that role. Harry works as a carny hack at a traveling carnival. Despite his current position, Harry is working hard to better himself. He once owned a bicycle shop that he lost and hopes to open another one sometime soon. He never gives up and never gives in, even against overwhelming odds. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Story Status. We've now completed the entire illustration part of the story guide, including sections 1 through 6. Let's save our work using the File Save command. Press Shift-Enter to move to the next topic. Illustrating Report. Use the button below to print a report of your story as it has been developed so far. If you have entered a lot of information, the report may be long. An alternative way to viewing the report is to go to the Reports window. Press the Close button to close the story guide. There is a Reports tile on the Dramatica desktop. You may click on the Reports tile to open the Reports window, or you can choose the Reports command from the Storytelling menu. If you've never selected a report before, the Reports window has information about various reports available to you. One of those reports is the Level 1 Story Guide report. To select a report, click on the drop-down list at the top of the Reports window. You are presented with a list of submenus which organize the reports into different groups: Introduction to Reports, Story Guide Reports, Standard Reports, Advanced Reports, and Report Sets. For our purposes, let's go to the Story Guide Reports and select the Level 1 Story Guide report. We can see that the report is organized roughly in the same order as the story guide itself. Scroll down to see more of the report. Click on the Vocabulary button and a list of Dramatica terms with their short definitions is appended to the end of the report. Use the Print tile in the report window to print the current report, or the Export tile to export the report to a text file for editing in Microsoft Word or other word processing programs. Close the Reports window when you are done. That's it for Part 3 of the Getting Started in Dramatica Pro walkthrough video. For new users, I generally recommend that you end your exercise here. You've covered enough topics to introduce you to many of Dramatica's basic concepts and story guide functions. So, for those chomping at the bit to get started, get going. Use the story guide to make up your own story or your own version of a fairy tale. Otherwise, follow me to the last part of the story guide, story weaving and scene creation. These are far too involved and time-consuming for an exercise, but essential for developing a step outline or treatment, which is the last step before beginning the finished work. Next up, Part 4, Story Weaving, pulling it all together.